What is sales growth? What does it mean to grow your sales skills, teams, or even, from money perspective? I'm basically going to teach you a methodology to optimize and grow your sales teams, mainly from productivity point of view. And I was thinking about what's the best way to describe productivity, and I see in the crowd here mainly guys. If you want to learn how to be very productive, just go and look at the ladies in the crowd. Really? Yeah, clap them. Guys, come on. The ladies are in sales are real super women, seriously. They can do millions of things. You can see their day scheduled as nothing I've seen before. They do not take long lunch breaks. They don't go and play ping pong in the hall. And I really watch how they do that, and I think that we can learn a lot from it, and of course optimize even that. A little bit about me. 15 years ago, I founded Sisense, BI company, as you said, raised $200 million. I have a new startup which is called Workiz, so it's 202. We raised, you need to start small when you begin. At Sisense, I've built the entire inside sales team from being two guys. I was the one who did everything from sales support, onboarding, everything. And then we grew to about 550 people all around the world today, 4 regions. There are some people in the crowd here that are from Sisense, really an amazing company. I got a little bored about 7 months ago, and I joined Workiz. We're doing a CRM for field service businesses. Not going to go into it. I'm just going to give you examples from my life in sales. I'm investing in many startups around the world and in Israel. Most of them are very successful. And I'm a painter. That's, a bit, when I have time, I don't have too much of it. First question to all of you, and just think about it for 10 seconds. If you had one thing you need to focus as sales development, doesn't matter, whether it's number of customers or amount of money, what would you choose? You have only one to choose from. I know it's like the egg and the chicken, but I want you to think about your sales process, your sales team. What's more important? How many of you think the number of customers are more important? About 80%. Okay, so I'm not going to ask the others. And it's basic and it's real true. Whenever you build a team and whenever the company is getting bigger, number of customers is always better than the amount of money. When you have customers that are happy, when you have large amount of customers that are telling it to other customers, you get more reviews, you get better case studies, and it brings more and more customers cheaper. When you focus on this kind of deals, which mainly in enterprise business, you see it a lot. Many of the Israeli companies, that's what they do. You see long processes, handful of customers to start with, but less than, a few hundreds. You make a lot of money, but you find it very challenging to grow. And we clearly see that the amount of customers correlates a lot to the amount. And during this presentation, I'm basically going to teach you how to get more customers and not more money. More money is easy, just increase pricing. I've done it like 10 times in my life. It's never easy, but it does the trick. The first skill I'm going to teach you today is all about communication. Think about your life in the past 5 years, how it changed from picking up the phone, sending emails, to, and think about your personal life. How do you communicate with your siblings? It's mainly chats. It can be WhatsApp, it can be Facebook Messenger, it can be just the SMS that you send all over the place. And this kind of communication change has gotten into all of our sales development and sales all around the world. Specifically at Workiz, we use Intercom to communicate with our entire customer base. And we see more and more customers prefer this as the first line of, let's say, communication. They don't like to call you. They don't like to send you emails. They like to chat. Embrace this application. Doesn't matter which you choose, whether it's Drift, Intercom, each of them has their own pros and cons, but definitely embrace that. Just a few weeks after we embedded this in our website, and later on in our application, we saw an increase about 30% in our revenue. How come? American customers and all over the world, it's very basic. They see the chat window in the website, and they prefer to speak to you other than just read or go on in the form. Most of us are lazy, whether you want it or not. We're lazy. Our brain don't like to work. It's a lot of psychology. We like to rest, and the easiest way to get answers is this small icon on the right hand of the website or left. Embrace this. We're going to talk about it more later, about tips and tricks on how to increase engagement over there, but definitely do that. More than that, chats are less formal. And I know that you guys are probably spending a lot of time or writing emails. Is this email great? Is this email not? Many of my colleagues here know about my wall of shame. I had a wall of shame at Sisense because I'm making a lot of spelling mistakes as an Israeli with a lot of English phrases. You know what? I made a business out of it because the other side, when I'm chatting with other people, it's less formal. So I allow myself to do mistakes, and that's not a robot. That's not a guy that is writing the same phrases all the time, and they like to speak with me. So I took it to the next step, animated GIFs. You need to see the animated GIFs we're sending. It's crazy. Like, we started to send them, I started to send them, and my team told me, no, that's crazy. That's not formal. The clients will stop interacting with you. Big mistake. We see more and more interactions from animated GIFs, and the clients, our customers, which grew, by the way, about 200% in the last 6 months, started speaking to us with animated GIFs. Why? Because they do it with their kids and with their wives and husbands. Why wouldn't they do it with us? Less formal in chat means one thing: more customers and more happy customers. All you need to do is just to, make them smile. So instead of just, hey, how are you today? Just, I don't know, a Bugs Bunny that does that. Why not? You make them laugh, they feel related to you, they're going to buy from you. It's very basic. Quota, everybody loves it, right? How do you guys set quota? How was your quota? I remember you, Dana, right? Nobody likes quota, and nobody likes quota change. It's very, very challenging. Quota is psychology. I have, you can define quota in one word only: psychology. It's psychological effect on human beings, and quota is all about gamification. Read about gamification if you're setting quota for teams. Understand how to build a game, how to make a game that makes everybody wants to win. We had an experiment, a failed experiment a few weeks ago. We increased the quota for the sales team in 150%, and it actually came from them. They told us, yes, we can do that. I said, okay, let's increase the sales. They done 20 accounts per month, and we changed the quota to 30 accounts per month. And once we did that, you know what happened? They sold nothing, zero. The entire sales process was paused. They had the leads, they did demos, they interacted, they opened opportunities, but zero close. And tried to figure out what's wrong. We did a lot of interviews with them. Again, we're a small team, so it's fairly easy. And we figured out that they didn't think it's going to be that high, or they thought that they're going to win much more than before. It was all about money, by the way. And I made a decision to go back. It's never easy as a CEO to make a decision like that. You're counting on the amount that you're going to bring. They're counting on the amount of customers. But that was a very good decision, because you know what happened the day we said, guys, okay, we go back, no problem. You're going to get the same amount of leads, everything is good. The day we changed it, they started selling, 2-3 times more than months before. They were just holding themselves. If you create a monopoly game, okay, and in the surprise card, or danger or surprise, there are many terms to that. In the surprise card, you go to jail, you don't want to play this game. It's all about setting expectations and making them understand that they can win the game. And even to yourself, if you cannot win the game, you're not going to play. Doesn't matter how good you are. So think about gamification, read about gamification. When you set quotas, it's crucial. Setting the right quota and the right pricing, if you're doing product stuff, is crucial for your company's success. Everybody wants to succeed. Not everybody should succeed. You need to set quotas that about 80% of the teams if the team members 60% of the team members will hit the quota, about 10% will overachieve, and another 10 to 20% will underachieve. That's how most sales team in the world works. Okay, set the quota in the right way, but always set it to a place that they can win. If nobody wins, you're the only one who lost. Okay, remember that. Very few of us are thinking about that. We all came here to learn about how to optimize sales development, how to optimize sales team. But what about yourself? When was the last time you sat down and set quota for yourself, but a personal growth quota? Not in numbers, but what do I want to do in the next 5 years? What do I want to do in the next 3 years? Set this goal and understand if what you're doing right now is the best thing that you can do. What do I need to learn? But let's do a quick Q&A here. How many of you are in sales development? Okay, about 40%. How many of you are managing teams these days? About the same amount. Sales? Cool. Sales leaders, I guess the same amount. Okay, cool. So we have a good mix here. Think about what is your next role in life. Whether it's management, not everybody needs to be managers, that's fine. Is it biz dev? Is it sales? Is it sales development? Do you want to move to be in product role? What do you want to do? And set it as a goal, and every 2 weeks, learn something new that relates to this goal. Not to your day-to-day, not to your quota, and definitely not to your job. I'm embracing this in my company, and I've done it at Sisense. I think that personally, each and every one of you should grow as a personal human being. Okay, the companies are great, the companies that you're working with, but it's just an entity, it's not yourself. Go home, think about it for a couple of minutes, not more than that. What do you want to do? And then start planning ahead. Set yourself quota, quarterly, monthly. I need to read this book, I need to sit with this guy in my company, I just need to, ping me. I meet about 2-3 people every week, just helping them with their personal growth. Do it. Many Israeli guys, and we're in Israel here, it's all about personal relationship. Talk to each other. People can help you. Many of us are working in technology companies that sell products over online or offline, and they're missing a huge part. We're doing it Sisense. I know that many big companies, it's very clear to them to do that, but they're missing the brain or the smart guy behind the scenes. What is pre-sales, in my opinion? I know that there is a role like this, and it exists in many companies. But even in sales development, a guy that is capable of coding, a guy that is capable of thinking out of the box, bringing third-party solutions to connect with your solution, can help you a lot with your sales. I found a lot of the sales that I've done in my past life and also in the current company are closing, and we're winning over a company just because of the smart guys in the room. You should bring a pre-sales guy, a technical guy, a guy who can code, a guy who is very creative and think out of the box, and embed it with the sales team. He's a quota-oriented guy or a girl. They need to understand why they're doing that, and they need to win when the team wins. It means that when you're doing, you're doing a stand-up, or you're going to Mexico to do sales training, you take this person with you. The reason is that when this guy feels part of the team, he can be the biggest win ever. When we added it in my past company in Sisense, and also at Workiz, we have these kind of guys. We clearly see an increase in sales, and in sales that were impossible before. We don't overpromise, we don't oversell anything, even when you're doing sales development. Don't sell what you don't have, set expectations, but do explain that you have technical team that can solve almost any problem on earth. Many of the products these days can be attached to each other easily using API. And if you know how to use them, and if you have the pre-sales guy, he can help you a lot, again, in sales development and within sales. It's the edge of machines, and there is a lot of automation involved in the past few years. Many of you are using it as part of the marketing teams that are generating leads for you. But it's very important to understand these kind of concepts in sales development and in sales. You can bring infinite amount of leads, but you don't have infinite amount of time, and you definitely don't have infinite amount of focus. You need to focus on what's important and what's selling. Try to look in sales dev, in sales, for tools that can automate this process. Tools that can take all the leads flow and tell you this lead and this lead and this lead should be contacted. And the rest, just forget about them. Use automation. If you focus on leads that are more likely to buy, you basically optimize your time in a better way. There are many tools. At Sisense, we use the tool called Infer, basically decreased our amount of leads about 30%, and increased, of course, our revenue because we focused only on stuff that was important. There are many machine learning tools like that. Just find the right one for you. This can be done also manually. And again, you don't have to be a data scientist or a data analyst to do that. Just look at your leads. Who are you selling to? Are you selling to a specific country? Are you selling to a specific persona? Gather more information from your entire team and figure out who you need to speak to and who are the only leads that you need to spend time with. Otherwise, you're basically spending your time. And I know it's pretty obvious, but look on tools like Infer that can help you to filter that. And if you're working with hundreds of leads every month, it's definitely time to go on a journey with such a tools. If you want to convince your managers to use them, just convince them by telling them, if we increase the contact rate by 20%, well, what will it do to the quota? What will it do to the pipeline? From a manager perspective, from a CEO perspective, very easy. Leads are very costly, and you're very costly, and if we can optimize that, easy decision. Okay? This tool, by the way, costs $40,000. But if it brings 10, 20% more contact rate, or it's obvious decision. What kind of growth tools we're using at Workiz these days? We mainly, as you may notice here, that we use mainly Intercom. We think that chat apps are the future of every sales developer, guys, and we're using them also in support by in sales, but mainly sales development. Within Intercom, we're using an answer bot, which non-technical guys trained. Basically, all the, how much does it cost? Or how do you do this or that? 30% of our interaction these days are being answered automatically, and we don't have an easy-to-use tool. It's not a fairly easy tool. It has millions of features. If you train these machines to answer instead of you, you basically get more and more leads and more opportunities into your pipeline. Use them. It's not very costly, and it's fairly easy to accomplish. We use Intercom for marketing automation, and again, non-technical people are using them, and I'm not getting anything from Intercom, by the way. I'm a big fan, just because it increased our sales in about 30%, and it just keep on growing with them. We're using as a CRM HubSpot. HubSpot gives us a lot of automation, again, for non-technical people within sales. My head of sales is sitting here somewhere. He's handling all the workflows. He's very non-technical. And it's fairly easy to take a lead and do something with it, create a sequence or anything like that. Use tools that are for non-technical people. If you're part of sales, use these tools, pay for them, and you can see a huge growth. I used Gong at Sisense for sales, crucial tool. I don't see any tool around it in the world. There are many competitors in that field. What Gong does is basically recording the meetings and extract and extrapolate insights. So whether you talk about discount pricing, what's the time that you do that, they transcribe everything, and they give you a lot of insight regarding that. Once the team is larger than 10 people, these kind of tools are a must. And believe it or not, you will hire less people, and less people will do the same amount of work using these kind of tools. Of course, for analytics, we use Sisense. Don't make decisions without data. Do me a favor. Okay, it's very easy to make decisions and to fail using them, but any analytic tool in that sense makes perfect sense, I guess. Other than that, growing sales is very much like growing product or scaling sales development. Experiment as much as you can. Experiments can be done in various different frameworks. Experiments are not solo just for the managers to come out with. Any of the employees within the company can suggest experiments. Let's give you some example of experiments we're doing. So the animated GIF was an experiment. Half of the population got, hey, how are you, glad you joined, and the other half got, I don't know, an animated Pluto or Mickey Mouse. Better conversion rate. An experiment one guy suggested. I just broke your... Yes, that's an experiment. I don't remember my piece. So buying time. Another experiment was to get, in the sign-up page, we say, glad you joined, see you on the other side. 20% increase in conversion rate. Now that's the SDRs or the sales are instructing the marketing to do that. Why? Because again, there is no taboo. There is nothing more interesting than seeing the sales that are working with customers, that are interacting with customers, coming up with these ideas. And once they get more leads, they're very happy. They won. Get the team into growth sessions, into experiment sessions. It can be emails. You probably do that all the time. But why won't you go to the product team and ask for, suggest some stuff? I believe that sales and sales development are the best years for the entire company. And if you don't speak with them, you basically, it's a lose-lose situation for everybody. So definitely create growth experiments. And again, there are many frameworks. I'm not going to suggest one. It can be in Excel. It's related to your personal growth, but I do believe that you need to read a lot. I'm a very, I guess, bad student. I was a very bad student until I found the best way that I can learn, which is Audible. I'm listening to a book a week right now, and I'm learning every week. I'm learning 2 to 5 different methodologies that I can work with, and believe it or not, every time it works because that's experience. Learn from these books. I'm going to recommend some books, but again, there are millions of books out there. Just try to focus on what you're trying to achieve at this point. We are conducting bi-weekly sessions with sales. So if you don't have it in your company, ask the product to do that. As much as you learn about your product, you'll be a better sales guy. You're not sales guys, you're a consultant. If you're not going to consider yourself as a consultant, you're basically going to lose leads to competition. Israelis are, I think, again, it's very easy to say it in this room, but we're thinking out of the box. We're very smart. We're doing stuff very unlike the outer world because we don't like structure. Use it as a benefit. Americans like, and I know that there are many Americans in the crowd, but you're here right now, and you see that doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is great, but it's not amazing. And we all want to be amazing. The only way to be amazing is to learn every day something new. Read blogs, not just about the sales process, but about the product in your industry. Okay? Listen to books or read books, whatever fits you. And create a sales toolbox that will grow your team in a much, I guess, better pace. One thing that we always do in companies that I'm investing in or in my company is creating resistance map. What does it mean? You take the entire sales and SDR team and ask them, what are the common resistant factors that you guys have? And then you ask, how do you guys overcome them? And everybody is speaking. And you get one guy and ask him, write everything down. And then you create a white paper, internal white paper, or a decision tree. So any new guy within the sales process can read this decision tree and have its way to, it's a battle card, basically. But for many things, like pricing, like competition, like stuff that, I don't have any time. Oh, that's great. I have one last question. That's, by the way, one of the best tips I ever got. Always say, okay, I have one last question. So the guy on the other side thinks that you go away, but you never go away. You still have more and more one last questions. Okay? Use these kind of tricks. They're working. They are working. Process analysis, don't do anything without numbers. Do me a favor, okay? We talked about it from the Syson's perspective, but it doesn't matter. Use it in Excel. See your baseline. What is your contact rate? And if you do one thing different today or this week, what does it do to your contact rate? Just create a process that you can analyze, and if you don't, please don't change anything, okay? It doesn't make any sense. Competition, we all have competitions, right? But competitions are not just about the money. Guys, remember, people love to play. It's not about the prize. So where is Uri? Uri came out, I don't know if it's your idea, but he came out with this idea. We have a WhatsApp group. We're forcing Americans to install WhatsApp, which is great. And he said, you know what, guys, we have, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 new accounts we need to deal with this month. So we're doing a decreasing amount. So, and any guy that closes a deal should find a funny picture with the amount, so 65, 66, 65, and so on. And I love this idea because it's a game. Instead of the boring gong, you suddenly see people over the chat all day like, let's do it, guys, and so on. And it's a culture that's being created over the chat. Just embrace new tools and get these ideas. Like I love it when my team is coming up with this kind of, I never told you this, Uri, but this is an amazing idea because he just started it, and once it's like, a bomb. He puts the fire and everybody are on it. Just embrace these kind of ideas. It's creating an amazing, amazing competition, internal competition. People love this thing. Last before the Q&A, it's books that I read and I recommend to any sales development or sales guys. The first one is all about winning friends and influencing people. I do believe that sales is all about relationship. If you haven't read it, it's a very old book, still very relevant today. It's talking about anything from deconstructing resistance in support, and it can be in sales too, down to winning the biggest accounts ever. It's all about the people. One of the tips that I'm giving from this book to my sales guys, just remember one fact about the other person. Not about their pains, not about what company they work, just that their wife's name is Beth, or their cat's or their dog's name is, I don't know, Andy. And if you remember that and you'll ask, how's Andy doing? Believe it or not, you just got a friend. And this friend will buy from you over and over again. That's crucial in sales. Don't be superficial about it. It needs to come from the right place, of course. And this book is amazing doing that. Unrelated to sales, but everything that I taught you here is coming from a book called Hacking Growth. It's mainly for product, but believe it or not, sales is a product. And treat it as a product, and you'll grow your performance in a great way. That's a great book about demos, how to create demos, and demos usually correlates with presenting something over the screen. That's absolutely wrong, guys. A demo is you and the other guy over the phone transferring information to each other. It's not the slides. It's never about the slides. It's always about the listening and what you discuss, active listening, we can call it. Great demo is part of it, of course, teaching you on how to structure demos and so on. That's it for today. If you have any questions, that's the right time. Thank you.